Yeah, we got nothing for intros for this one. Also, while we found it funny as a dark comedy, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be. So,
Let's talk about that. We're reviewing Windfall, which is a thriller dark comedy. We aren't exactly sure the genre.
they
People are
called it
calling
a
it
social
thriller.
drama on
I saw
Netflix.
thriller on several different places. Anyway, um, weird kind of low budget film with
Yeah.
Jason Segel, Jesse Plemons, and Lily Collins on Netflix.
Hmm.
Um, I forgot what I was going to say.
Mm. But yeah, I mean, it's only got four characters and one set piece, basically.
It
Must have
is
been a
it is a
very
single.
cheap movie.
Yeah, it's a single location. You asked where it was. It's in Ojai.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know if I mean the movie
I
doesn't
mean,
tell you
yeah,
where
yeah,
it is, but the actual house is in Ojai. Um, yeah, it had to be really low budget. I imagine 90% of the budget is the cast.
right, right. Like that could
Three
have.
of the four cast. There's literally four people in this movie. And oh, by the way, you learn none of their names. It's a weird movie. Not to say it's bad. It's weird. To
Yeah, I was
Go
gonna say
ahead.
like even like the opening credits like make it sound like an old movie. Like
So
it,
I briefly saw a review. I don't usually like to look up online reviews. I don't want them to influence me.
sure, sure,
But
sure.
I just saw something that said it's a Hitchcockian thriller. And it kind of is. It kind of has a Hitchcock feel in
Yeah,
a
yeah,
few
yeah.
ways.
Sure.
But the trailers, again, hashtag never trailers, completely screwed this movie because they built it as a comedy. They took the two funniest lines from the movie and put them in the trailer. And so I
Yeah.
think we both had this expectation of dark comedy, and it was a dark comedy to us, even when there was a scene that we thought was funny, and maybe we're just sadists because
Well,
it
yeah.
probably isn't funny.
I
But
mean, it's true.
we anticipated it being a dark comedy, so it's not totally our fault. But essentially, I think up until very close to the end, we thought it was a dark comedy, and then it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, yeah, it's not. It was supposed. I guess it was supposed to be a lot more tense than
It
we.
doesn't help that it's Jason Segel
Sure.
who plays a pretty dramatic character. He's never that funny. He's a little sarcastic at times. And then Jesse Plemons tries to be funny. So it's almost like they took a comedic actor and made him serious, and they had a somewhat more dramatic actor and had him be kind of comedic. And all the trailers pointed to a comedy, and it's not.
I literally don't understand why the trailer makers do this so often, where they just try to pitch the movie as a completely different movie.
I legitimately think they don't watch it or they don't understand it, or I think they like run through the movie really quick and think what are the best things, like, and they don't take any consideration to, okay, we have to explain to people what the movie is, we just have to get the best stuff in there. So it had a couple of funny lines. The movie is very
Yes.
slow, so there's not, you can't really grab the action because that'll spoil it. I'm glad they didn't do that, at least. But like there's not a lot to grab from it, so they were like, oh, we'll grab these two funny lines that kind of help, because the comedy of those lines also helps exactly explain what the movie is, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
Jesse Plemons says, I'm helping you rob me, which
yeah.
it is
Yeah.
a big part of the movie. um and then he says something about like, I forget what the other line was that they used in the trailer, but the point is they summarized the movie. The problem is they had a comedic tone, and the movie outside of that doesn't have comedic tone really.
Yeah. So it's still weird for me because it still felt like a dark comedy for a good chunk of it. It just
For
had
two
such a
thirds of the movie, yeah, we definitely thought it was.
like the ending was just so
It was pretty
like the
dark.
tone of the ending
It was too dark to be
was
a dark
different
comedy.
from the rest of the movie.
And yeah, I thought about, we've accused movies before of having problems with tone and not sticking to a tone. I don't they never tried to be a comedy, in my opinion. They had a couple of funny bits. I don't know that I fault the tone of this movie. It's just it got real dark real fast at the end.
I see, and now I'm thinking back on the movie though, and there's like parts that are just like those
There's
bits
a lot
are
of
there
depressing
for
bits.
that too. But you that goes hand in hand with dark comedies. You get depressing bits and funny stuff, usually making fun of the depressing bits. Whereas I guess in this one, the depressing bits were just depressing. But I don't know. There's just random things where like he's trying to tie them up and he can't, and he just gets frustrated and he stops. And it's like that's obviously supposed to be kind of a funny joke. And there's tons of small things like that. Most of Jesse Plemons' lines are just like he thinks this situation is insane and he's basically making jokes about it. So it's like it really does come off as a dark comedy.
Yeah, it just, yeah, I don't know. It is weird. I think you need to go into it just being aware that it's not, though, because the end is jarring.
Yeah. The ending is dark and not comedy.
Yeah, and we won't say anything more than that. Yeah, it's a weird, kind of indie movie, really low budget. There's 4 characters, 1 location. That's literally it. It's slow. I still think it's fine. I think you have to be weird to like this movie, probably, but we are. So I don't know. I'm gonna say that it's streamable for weird people.
Yeah, this is like in the same genre as like I think when we reviewed Paddleton, where I think we both enjoyed Paddleton.
Yes. Paddleton is exactly the same genre,
but I
not
know
the same
that
genre,
I
the
can't
same
recommend
group
it to
of
most of my friends.
Right. You got to be a little weird to like this. You got to probably be pretty into film to like this, I think, because it's very slow for a 90-minute movie.
Well, you literally like I think an hour into the movie you're like, oh yeah, it just got good. And I'm like, okay. And we had like 30 minutes left.
Pretty much. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I'll say it's streamable for a certain group of people. And I don't know. I can't tell you exactly if you're going to like it or not. I guess try it. It's only 90 minutes, but it does feel long.
And then while we're not necessarily classifying it as a dark comedy, I do think if you enjoy dark comedies, you are into the weirder
If you're a
movies.
sadist, you'll laugh at the first 2/3 of it, I guess.
Well, it's like if you're into dark comedies, you're usually into these weird movies and weird situations that it's kind of making fun of. So I think that helps. So if you're into dark comedies, I think you will enjoy it.
You could look at this as the darkest of dark comedies, I guess.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, it's good. It's because it's also just 3 characters. It's really like they have to carry the movie on their backs, and I think they do a good job. I really liked Plemons. And
I liked Plemons' delivery of his character the best. Jason Segel was what you would expect, a very incompetent kidnapper, essentially. I just, I was always expecting more comedy out of him, I guess. Lily Collins was very good. I don't really remember her from anything. I'm not super familiar with her, but her role was much more dramatic and just, she didn't really have any comedy. She was fine. She was good in that. It just was a little weird that each of the characters were not exactly what you would expect from the actors. I mean, maybe not the case for Lily Collins. Again, I'm not familiar, but yeah, they all did good. They're all good actors.
I guess it helps that, like, I think in the case of the characters, Lily Collins' character is probably the most normal person in the situation. Like Jason Segel's kind of like the bumbling robber. The Plemons is playing this very rich, like tech billionaire guy, so he's supposed to be more eccentric. So I guess that's why she doesn't get to be too comedic. She has to be kind of like the normal anchor of the person kind of just going through it, I guess. But then again, she also is so nonchalant about this whole situation, which again makes it funny. The fact that everyone is like so nonchalant about being basically held hostage is what's hilarious about the movie.
I mean, there's another line at one point that Jesse Plemons is like, why are we considering this guy a threat? Like, he's not. I don't want to spoil anything, but he does very little to threaten them in any way. Yeah. I was amazed he didn't just punch him and run at some point. Like,
Yeah. I don't know. It was good though. I will also say streamable. But yeah, if you're into like Paddleton, things like I think we've mentioned like World's Greatest Dads, weird movies. If you like weird movies, you'll like this movie. If you don't like weird movies, then just avoid this because it's just going to be slow, and you're probably not going to find anything humorous. And it's going to be
and the end's
too dark.
just going to be
too dark. Yeah.
All right. Shall we play the old Rotten Tomatoes game, Jimmy?
Oh my god, this one's going to be hard because I'm assuming because it's weird, it must not be doing well. Okay.
Take a guess. Critics, there are 68 reviews on Critics.
6. Wait, I forget. Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, it's out of 100, right? 62.
Okay. Audience has 250 plus.
Audience, most people don't understand weird dark shows and movies, so like 43.
Oh my god, he did it again. 60% critics, 40% audience.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm getting better at this game.
You're good in shitty movies, I think, is what we've established. You underrated the good movies.
Yeah, I mean,
shows.
I guess because in my brain I still give it like an actual rating instead of the math for Rotten Tomatoes is percentage of good ratings, which is
right.
I gotta adjust
a little
for
weird.
That.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense to me though, because regular people who happen to watch it, because I feel like there's people who will just turn on and be like, "Oh, Jason Segel," or
especially with the trailers, man, they just I mean, I guess the trailer is going to do its job in getting people to watch it. The problem is it's going to piss a lot of people off because it's not what they set up in the trailer.
You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember that crappy movie with the shrinking people? Downsizing?
Don't mention that movie. That's the worst movie of all time.
But that trailer
that is my
was like
worst movie of all time.
The most manipulative trailer. Like it literally
they took like the 4 funniest lines and made it a comedy. Yeah.
It makes the movie look like it's going to be an amazing movie. And then it is just not.
That is a horrible, horrible movie. Never watch that. Much rather you watch Windfall than Downsizing. Ugh.
Yeah, but yeah, it's acceptable. I'm sorry, not acceptable. So it's expected that after watching that trailer, people will watch this movie expecting sort of very comedic Jason Segel-led thing, and it's not going to be living up to expectations.
Yeah, I really expected a bunch of turns at the end for it to go down this comedic path, but it just gets darker and darker and darker, and you need to be prepared for that. Like, I don't know. I think that's why a lot of people don't like it. 40% is people expected a comedy and it got real dark real fast at the end.
I agree. But again, like we said, that means 40% of people liked it, which are the weird people.
40% of the population is weird. Good for us, guys.
So if you're in that group, you will enjoy it.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I think that's all I got.
Yeah, that should do it. All right. That's all, folks.